I didn't do the countdown. Hi, we're live. Oh, it's the wrong button. Oh, it's my bad. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Well, no countdown. Just us here live now. Hey, everybody. I am Crystal Wiese. I'm the director of marketing here at QuestionPro, and we were going to have a 30-second time countdown, but I hit the wrong button. So we're live now, and we're so glad you're here. I have you trapped in this room for about an hour. So we hope that you can learn something from us and make sure to ask questions. A couple of housekeeping items. If you want to leave a question in the comments, either on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or this private webinar room we're in, we would love to save those and answer those as we go along. And we'll pop some of them up on the screen. If you have a question that you want, like it's a really long-ended question, we'll have some contact information that you can get a hold of us at the end. Kartik and Karishma love talking about nerdy things, so you can dive in with them all day long. I am not here for that. I'm here for a fast-paced, fun, learn it, on. But again, I'm Crystal Wiese. I'm the director of marketing here at QuestionPro. This is an hour-long webinar that we're going to be talking about QuestionPro BI and a lot of different, I'm going to say shenanigans that now play into that. And I'm joined by Kartik Bhat and Karishma Rao. Give us the 30-second intro, Kartik, of who you are and why you're excited to be here.
Hey guys, so it's Kartik here. I'm kind of the product manager for QuestionPro BI as well as the solution architect at QuestionPro. And what kind of makes BI super exciting for me is just my journey. Like I've been in sales for QuestionPro for a long time. And something I've always struggled with in the past was, okay, we've collected the data, we can obviously export it, but we want some actionable kind of insights. We want some analytics on that. So that was always a pet peeve of mine. And then as soon as I got into product, that was the first thing I took up to solve. So yeah, since October,
you're like, I abandoned sales. I was so irritated. I had to go onto the product team.
I just decided to start coding myself, and that brings me here.
I love that. And Karishma, I don't think this is the first webinar that you and I have ever been on together.
Yes, it is. It's my first webinar with you and absolutely loving it.
And tell us what brought you to QuestionPro and how did you, get into QuestionPro BI?
So I've used QuestionPro. I think I was one of its first users. Yes, and absolutely enjoyed using it. I think I did this at a time when the market research industry was just transitioning from PAPI to CAPI. And that's where I felt QuestionPro was always ahead of the curve in terms of integrating or bringing in technology or bringing in capabilities that was really pushing the envelope for the market research industry. So I had the pleasure of working with Kartik and his team. I had the pleasure of working with QuestionPro, and I've always, throughout my career, I've always kept an eye on QuestionPro because I always find their products so exciting.
I love that. Well, we're so excited you guys both are here. I know we kind of went through the slides that we had, Kartik, sorry. Our faces are prettier than slides, I promise. And so, guys, we have a little bit of an agenda that I'm going to let Kartik walk you through. Again, if you have questions, please drop those in the comment section. We will be answering them as we go, and then you will get a chance to get a hold of Kartik and Karishma at the very end of the hour if you have some non-product related questions. Even though this is a product webinar, I will remind you. And you can make sure to connect with all of us on LinkedIn. Make sure you follow QuestionPro, and let's get started. I'm going to add your screen to the stage, Kartik. You want to go into slideshow so we don't have to see your tabs?
Yep. Let's do that. Awesome. Thanks, Crystal. So this is what we've kind of planned for today. One is just an introduction to BI, why we are building it, what we are looking to do, how it kind of differentiates from some of the other similar products out there. Something like Tableau or Microsoft BI, something like that. And then what I'm going to do is jump straight into the platform and just give you a bit of a sneak peek on what's there, and some of the cool like kind of bells and whistles in the product. And after that, I'm going to kind of hand it over to Karishma, who's going to talk about RIM or weighting, uh, just like when do we use it, why do we use it, what are the pros and cons, etc. And then again, we'll kind of give you a small overview of how kind of it's handled on QuestionPro, followed by kind of just a glimpse into the roadmap, like what's coming up, what we can expect.
Ooh.
And then I see her Q&As at the end, but typically
I
kind of
hijacked it to
after.
the middle.
Yeah.
People forget their
So typically,
questions, Kartik.
yep. So pretty much after every section, I would say we'll take a small pause just to see if there are any interesting questions. We'll kind of try to keep this interactive, go through them, and keep it as interactive as possible.
Okay, teach me all the things about BI, Kartik, because I definitely probably should have listened better when you taught the company about it.
Yep, this is your test. I'm going to ask you some questions at the end. Awesome. So I think like the one thing that I've always seen kind of the insights team or research team typically struggle with is kind of creating the reports. This could be doing cross tab, doing some stat testing, even something as basic as like pie charts, bar graphs, cut in different ways. So I've seen clients even today struggle a lot with this, and typically like the solution to that in most corporations is something like Tableau, something like Power BI, or some data visualization or central data visualization platform that everyone believes will kind of magically solve that problem, where you can kind of get the dashboards or get the visual insights you need. Although that statement holds true, the problem we noticed is that really slows down the team. Like, if realistically, what I'm going to show you today, or in general, if you want to create, like, even for a mediocre research project with 30, 40 questions, if you had to get a data dashboard up and running on
Mm-hmm.
something like Tableau, it's going to take you, even for something super basic, at least 3 to 4 hours. And then if you had to like put in weighting or like clusters or like cross tabs on that, you take that up to 10, 12, 14 hours, or sometimes even more,
I'm
depending on
14
how.
hours to build a dashboard.
Yes. Karishma is going to talk through that because she's actually been in Kantar and some of these organizations. So yes, absolutely. Like some of the complex stuff that we do, certainly if you're trying to do it externally, with a tool that's not designed specially for survey data, that's kind of sometimes the problem you face into, where okay, you can do it technically, but the amount of time you need to spend is going to be reasonably high, right?
You could have
And
already
generally,
made decisions with QuestionPro and made a new product in the time it takes traditional companies to build a dashboard. Then
yeah, I would challenge that, we can get up and running, like get a pretty nice, workable, shareable dashboard to a client within 15 minutes, frankly. And I'm going to showcase that today.
let's do it. Okay, sorry, I keep interrupting you, but
Nope,
it's
nope,
because I'm
absolutely.
learning.
Awesome. So I'm going to jump straight to it. This is something I've worked tirelessly for the past, I would say, year or so, and I'm super excited to. This is the first time we are kind of showcasing it to the larger audience. So far, it's
Your
been a beta
super
product.
excited tone, though, is the same as your everyday tone. So I would like all the attendees to know that Kartik is very excited.
Yeah. This is my tone, whether I'm excited, sad, angry. That's just my tone.
But
Unfortunately,
you're very
I
excited.
can't. Awesome. So this is kind of the dashboard, or this is the platform that you're going to log into. Everyone who kind of uses QuestionPro, you're going to see it in this drop down here under BI. So this is how you get to this. And now you'll see if I wanted to create a dashboard. There are two options. One is a blank dashboard, but who wants to really do that? In today's world, everyone wants to use AI to make things faster, easier, more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So we also have a QX bot. A QX bot is essentially kind of QuestionPro's inbuilt or homegrown, I would say, kind of AI engine. So we're going to use or leverage this, and let's do demo dashboard. Now, so just give it a name, continue, and once you do that, it's going to kind of bring up all the surveys that you have. You can also choose different products. If you're using any other product of QuestionPro, you see that in the drop down. So I'm just going to pick a survey which has some good data.
So if you have a workforce license or a customer experience license and let's say surveys, and you're like, man, I know that my CX team, I need this little question from their question, I need a research question, you can build those all together in your dashboard.
Yep, that's one of also like the key use cases which we don't speak about enough is when you're doing like journey mapping and you're getting data from different touch points. Some could be like research, some could be CX, some can also be internal. In many cases, like your overall NPS also has like an internal component. So yes, this dashboard kind of allows you to get all of that data and work on it together.
That's awesome. It could finally answer that lifelong question. You know how people like, there's a lot of trend talk right now about how employee experience influences CX experience, but there's not a lot of data necessarily to back it up or like use cases. This would be a great chance to actually be able to showcase like our employee experience does impact your customer experience. And you can put that in here.
Yep, absolutely. So here you'll see like within seconds, I've kind of got a baseline dashboard. And what makes it different from a regular dashboard is the bot will kind of look at the question, look at the context of the survey, and try and predict the right way to visualize the data. So if you see like for gender, it's kind of used this pictorial graph. For income, it's kind of used this donut. Here, just kind of use the standard bar graph. I'm going to make this larger so we can read it. Here you'll see like since this was how do you rate the following, and this was like a Likert scale, it kind of used this heat map. Here you'll see this was a ranking question. So here it's kind of used this leaderboard widget that we have.
Ooh, sorry, I really like colors. Okay, leaderboard widget. That's exciting.
I wanted to make this all black, by the way, but yeah, our UX team kind of overrode that and added these
Yeah,
colors.
shout out to the UX team. All black, my.
Black and gray was like everything should be black and gray, but obviously I was overruled.
Okay, please select the 3 things you use your smartphone for. Okay, how many surveys did you put in this dashboard?
This is a single survey that I've done in the US, and it was essentially for folding smartphones, frankly, about a few months back. So all of this is kind of grabbed from that one survey. And here you'll notice how do you feel about folding phones? And this is actually an open-ended question. It's a comment box question. But the QX bot has already kind of categorized the data into sentiments by default. So it's got like very negative to very positive, and you kind of get these percentages here. You can also do like topical analysis and stuff like that over and above this. But by default, it kind of just ran the sentiment because this looked like a sentiment kind of question. Obviously, if you're asking about, what are some features you'd like to see in the upcoming iPhone, for example, right? So that is obviously not going to be a sentiment. So in that case, the AI is smart enough to just run topical analysis on that. So that's kind of how
Okay,
the bot kind of predicts and uses the right models.
so you could have almost what Dan calls it now, our president of research, he calls it like quali quant. I think there needs to be a better name for it, but it's where you take qualitative, like an open-ended question, and then it creates that sentiment automatically for you. But what if you wanted to run a different interpretation? Can you do that? Actually, this is not a setup question. This is a real question.
Yep, absolutely. So we've kind of by default this kind of just takes into consideration what it understands from the data. But we have built the dashboard where you can kind of go and be a bit more specific, right? Tell us what kind of survey is it, how long is it one time or is it longitudinal? So you can put in these data points, which will kind of make it more accurate. You can select the industry, what industry are you running it in. So all these things will make obviously the results more and more accurate. But even if you don't do anything, you're still going to have reasonably good accuracy just from the bot understanding the context of the question and the survey.
Awesome. So we just have a couple things coming in because we've had some people join as you were doing this. So can you just kind of do a little recap of how you got this data in here and then maybe showcase, I don't know what you had planned. Sorry, Kartik. I'm just reading the questions. Can you just recap how you added the survey in and then maybe add a couple of different widgets too?
Yep, let's do it again since it's super easy.
Yeah.
Let's do,
Okay,
let's
for
say,
everybody asking how you, Brett, how you connected the survey data and people like, how can you add multiple surveys? We're going to do that right now. We go to QuestionPro BI.
yep.
Boom.
So first step is go to QuestionPro BI. That's going to bring you here. Now let's create a fix dashboard 2.
Multiple
And
surveys.
here, instead of blank, I'm doing QX bot, so I don't waste time sitting and building the whole dashboard.
Yeah.
And here you'll see you can pick, to begin with, just one survey. So for now, I'll just pick this one, which we had picked earlier, and create. And this is going to give me that baseline kind of dashboard that we were looking at. And this automatically grabs all your survey data.
From the one survey.
And from this one survey, correct.
Right.
And now within this, you want to add some data from different surveys, or even want to compare data of this survey with a similar question from another survey. So for that, all you do is on the top right here, you see add widget. So it's going to do this. And here you have two options. One is question based and one is advanced. So advanced are slightly more complicated things like cross tabs, heat maps, stuff like that. But I'll keep it simple for today and go into question based. And now let's say I can just pick any product. So again, it can be surveys, it can be customer experience, workforce. And we also have this concept of a data set where we kind of consolidate different surveys together. So again, we keep it simple. And I'm going to pick, let's say, a survey done for Lenovo. And here I can pick, let's say, I want to add here.
I need to make the screen
Rate the
bigger because
importance.
now I'm just like, I'm trying to see, but I had to move my face.
Let me see if I can zoom over it. There we go.
No, it was me.
Better.
It's a me problem.
Yeah. So you see here, once you add it, you can just choose the widget and let me choose something simpler. So within this, if I wanted to add, let's say, rate the importance of the following devices, and let's do smartphone and tablets. And here you'll see like all the different widget types you can use. So I can just pick something from here. So let's say I'm going to do a stack paragraph. That's one of my favorites. Add and boom. So this is now getting data from a second survey, and then you can keep adding from n number of surveys and keep kind of plugging into this.
That's awesome. So then you could keep plugging in different survey questions and you can kind of do compare and contrasting. And what are then some of the, I guess, like on to the next, like what are some of the biggest reasons that you built something like this for like a end user, for a researcher? Is it to present the findings to your boss? Is it to present the findings to yourself? Like what's kind of your, like what problem does this solve?
Yeah, so I think our biggest problem statement or kind of the challenge we want to solve, and maybe not today, maybe like a year from today also, but we want to kind of, as much as possible, replace PPTs, right? Right now, generally what will happen is you collect all the data, you plug it into any BI tool, whether it's QuestionPro BI or any other BI, you do all your statistical stuff that you want to do. And generally, you either take screenshots of that or export it into a PPT and then make like a big ass 50 MB, 100 MB kind of PPT and share that, right? And generally, that process is pretty cumbersome, very time consuming. It makes the research team highly, I would say, inefficient. So our vision is like everything that you want to do with your data, we are going to enable it in this itself, right? So if you wanted to add write-ups, you want to add some images, you want to add logos, you want to add your own kind of charts, everything will be possible right here. And once you're done, you can just share this. And
This is
what we've
my
also done
favorite part
here,
of QuestionPro is sharing the dashboards. It's so fun and easy in any
yeah,
of our platforms.
and I've taken that a step further. I think this is the first time we've enabled comments. So what this does is once you enable comments, someone you've shared it with can actually start asking questions about the data on certain any of the data points. And you as the administrator kind of get notified about those questions and you can just answer it then and there. So it almost becomes an FAQ about the data on the dashboard itself instead of like an endless loop of emails that keep going on and on.
Because if you like export it to a PowerPoint, then people comment in the PowerPoint, and then you go back to your data and you adjust the data there, but then maybe you have to create another slide or that doesn't get updated, and you're in like you don't have a single source of truth when it comes to your data points.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another thing also this solves here, you'll see is enable filtering. So we've allowed whom you're sharing it with can kind of apply certain filters that can be guardrailed by you. So again, what this does typically in a PowerPoint, let's say you've done a global survey in like, let's say 10 countries, and generally you'll have, let's say 10 slides per country. So that makes it 100 slides, right? So that becomes your PPT report. Let's say as an example, this allows you to just create like, let's say a 20 question dashboard, and those countries simply become a filter. So once you share it with someone, they can just start filtering the country they want to see, and it's much easier to read, much easier as the researcher to kind of program, and very easy to kind of collaborate on that as well.
Okay, so there is one question that says, can you still, I know we're giving PowerPoints a hard time here, and maybe it's because I'm not a traditional researcher. I came from, the marketing space, the digital space. I've always been a digital native. Can you still download the PowerPoint?
Yes and no, I would say. So as of today, it's just PDF that you can export into. But behind the scenes, we already started working on Google Slides as well as PowerPoint. So we anticipate somewhere by mid to late October, we should be able to release PowerPoint exports as well.
So if they come to X Day, then you can show them that there in person. Love that for us.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna have Karishma go after you, but there are a few questions. Unless Kartik, did I interrupt you too many times? Do you have other things you would like to cover? Because we have some questions I'd like to cover in the 8 minutes before we hand it over to Karishma.
Nope. I think I've on a high level, I've covered most of what I wanted to cover on the dashboards.
Great. So, we're just gonna start from the top, people. What licenses is this available on?
Yes, so this is going to be all licenses kind of advanced and above. There are a few caveats. So advanced just gets to do one dashboard with all the functionality. If you need more than that, you do need a team edition license. Then you can do kind of unlimited dashboards. And you get like 90% of the features. And then some of the super advanced things like K-modes clustering or like rim weighting. So those are available with research and above, or research CX and workforce. So everyone, like any paid customer, gets some version of this.
Right.
But yeah, obviously, like the higher up the license, the more kind of research capabilities get unlocked.
Cool. So advanced one dashboard, team edition, unlimited dashboard with 90% of the options, and then research edition and above. You said some things I didn't know about weighting and words. So you get advanced features. And so just, if you need to talk to your account manager, please reach out to them. They can definitely set you up with a demo on this, or even a demo with Kartik. So please make sure you talk to your account manager, or just like get in and click around, because that's how I find things in QuestionPro. It's just hitting the buttons. Okay, and then this is a little more of a deep dive. What is QXBot doing to create the sentiment analysis, and how can I validate this, or what's been coded? This is a good question.
Yeah, so this is kind of our own bot that we've built over the past, I would say, 5 to 6 years. And obviously, as you can anticipate, like it's fed like millions and millions of like open-ended responses. So obviously, like in general, we've seen like a reasonably good kind of efficiency with categorizing the sentiment as well as like the key items in that. But in spite of that, we do notice like some projects which are like out of the ordinary for the bot, for example, sometimes get tagged incorrectly. So in those cases, you are given the dashboard to kind of go and kind of add your own recommendation or make some changes, and that gets added to your account, and then the bot kind of takes that into consideration as well when processing it further. So yes, you can kind of start kind of nudging the bot a little bit if you see it's made some common errors.
Okay, love that. And then next question, how can you add multiple surveys to see either trends over time or a comparison? Perhaps fielded two of the same survey to two different populations. So we're really like talking about, comparison. Can you give us a widget setup on that?
Yep. So for that, we actually have something known as data slicer. Here, if you go into settings, you'll see some of the options here, which is like the AI settings, weight schemes, and so forth. And one of the options here is data slicer. So this is where I can create, and this slicer can be like another survey, or it can be like a particular way someone answered it. So let's keep it simple and just call this, let's say, group one. And let's say this is everyone who's completed the survey and responded. And here you'll see you can like select the survey source. I'm going to do, let's say, Google survey. And I want to see, okay, let's just make this female to make it easier. So everyone who said female, and this becomes, let's say, my slicer, and I can now apply this to the dashboard. And now here you'll notice like it starts comparing the data overall versus female, and then you can keep adding as many slices as you want. So that could be data to another survey. It could be a filter of the same data set, so it can be anything, and you can keep adding more and more slices to the widget.
Awesome. Sorry, there are a lot of questions coming in, and Mark and I are trying to like figure out how we're going to get through all of them. So I was listening to what you were saying. Okay, and then the last one before we hand it off to Karishma. Can users build new variables? Think combine answer options, use and or logic, etc. to include the dashboard, or is it limited to a survey data that is collected in the field? Oh.
No, you can absolutely kind of create your own variables. It is currently in beta right now. I don't have that account loaded up, but within a couple of weeks, that's going to come into public beta. So essentially, yes, you can say, okay, if someone was in California and earns more than 70,000 and shops at least once a month, add a variable called frequent shopper 1, for example, and so forth. So you can kind of create these conditions and have variables or have something associated to those, and that gets appended to the data. And then that variable can then be used for widgets. It can be used in your cross tabs. It can be used for simply filtering. It can be used for comparisons and so forth. So it's almost like a typing tool essentially that you can create pretty easily. And I'm testing that out. I mean, I did a third testing this morning, but we expect to launch it to all our users in the next couple of weeks.
That's amazing. Cool. So for everybody that's asking questions, especially like more demo related questions, as a reminder, we only have an hour. So I'm really trying to make sure we get through everything. And we really want to dive into the weighting. Krishna's got a great conversation around that. So I just want to make sure everyone who keep asking questions, Mark, who is our marketing manager for BI, is documenting them all in the back end, and we will be sending you out an email with all the answers, or at least all the questions and answers in a separate email following the webinar. So we are so grateful that you're here and you're asking questions. I know this is like Kartik, we probably have 75 questions of people just like rolling.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
We are so excited about this product. As you can tell, it is going to be, I would challenge, life-changing for some people. But this is, a webinar where we're trying to cover a lot of things. So please bear with us. Nobody wants a 2-hour webinar, guys. That would not be, nobody on this call wants that. So Karishma, we're going to hand it over to you now, because we're going to talk about something I still really want to learn about a lot of, which is working within BI to do weighting and population sampling, etc.
Okay.
I think that's what you're talking about. I guess I'm going to learn about it now.
No, before I jump and dive into that topic, which is course, very exciting, and for what we've all gathered over here. But I must say the demo was extremely exciting. And to do that, and I think what Karthik said is that we can do presentations in 15 minutes. I think just blew the socks out of everybody. So love it, love it. So no, I'm even I enjoyed using the BI when I was introduced to it. So taking on, so when I think all of us over here have conducted a survey, right? And we're constantly trying to understand some characteristic about the total population. Either we're trying to understand their attitude, or we're trying to understand their perception, or we're trying to understand their share of mind, share of wallet, media consumption. There's so many questions that we have, and based to our topic or based to the industry that we belong to, we tend to ask a lot of questions. But asking or conducting our survey to the whole population is not only costly, but is also not time efficient. So
Mhm.
what we tend to do is we take sample, that's a group of randomly selected individuals from the target population, and then we ask them these questions in the form of our research tools or our survey tools. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So now we obviously know that sampling is very random, right? Like we just want to go ahead and talk to individuals. Of course, based on our research objective or say based on the industry that we belong to, there will be certain selection criteria that would narrow down, the sampling to us so that, we're not just, interviewing individuals so randomly they have no relationship or have any connection with either the brand or the topic that we're talking about. So there are certain selection criteria that's obviously there in our screener. But what we also try to do is we try to keep a target or we keep a quota, and that's representative of the proportions of the target population. Meaning,
Okay.
if our population, our total population looks like a Mona Lisa, we want our sample also to look like her. But sometimes what happens is we we kind of get into certain form of biases, right? Like for example, individuals are not available, or say our incidence rate is low, or sometimes people are very conservative about their opinion and they may drop out from our survey. So those are some biases that anyways get into our research, when we're collecting information from the field. So what happens is there's a little disturbance in the proportions of the sample, and then sometimes our sample does not look exactly like our target population, and there's a little bit of disparity going on over there, right? A little bit of discrepancies going there. So what we tend to do is we realize that there are certain individuals who need to be upweighted, or certain group of people that need to be downweighted to manage the proportions so that our achieved sample through our
Right.
survey matches the target population proportion.
Okay. And so then you can do all this weighting and sampling inside of BI automatically with the widgets.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what I'm going to do is, if we can just jump. So we've understood why sampling, we've understood why weighting, or at least had an introduction to it. So
Right.
now, if we could go to the next slide, we're going to try and attempt to be pros in weighting. So how do we be pros over
Nice.
here? So I understand that I'm not going to go into the too much of the technicality part, because honestly what we're doing in Question Pro over here is to really simplify complex concepts into something that can be done by any of us on this call, right? So what we if I had to just have the audience focus on the table for a minute, right? We have, and look at table number 2. You have something called as the target sample. This would be your quota, as well as your target that is given at the time of conducting the survey. Say we want 18 male who are under the age of 18, and so on and so
Mhm.
forth. So each cell has a description saying that this is the proportion of male, female with age criteria that we want. And we're just trying to make it as simple as possible. But when we conducted the survey, we realized that, oh, we've only achieved 9 male who are under the age of 18. And then there is some group of people who are slightly more than the target, and some
Right.
group of people which are slightly less. than the target. So when that happens, what we tend to do is we divide the target by the achieved. Now go to table number 3, and what you see over there is when you divide your target by achieved, you automatically get something called as the weight factor,
Okay.
or the weighted weights per cell. Now this is exactly what we do in weighting. We take the target and the achieved, and we try to understand what weight we need to give per respondent, so that we are upweighting a group of people, or we are downweighting people who are represented in our sample, so that they match the proportion of our population.
Right. And this looks like a lot of math. So I'm really hoping that you're saying, because you said everybody on this call can do weighting. And I went,
Yes.
I don't think that's true.
Absolutely. So there are certain guardrails that are obviously there when we are doing weighting. Like for example, you would see one of the cell is marked red. Why is that? Because we see that the weight factor is below 0.5. It's like practically taking an individual and cutting their opinion to less than 1%. So,
And I'm assuming you guys have built in this weighting into
yes,
BI. So no
yes,
longer are little like market researchers doing, I don't know, I just imagine y'all doing like math, like, and then like plugging it into your like PowerPoints.
we've kind of progressed on that one, but no need to do it in R or SPSS. It's already integrated. I mean, it's already included in your BI. So that's one of the plus points. I think that Kartik will be demoing. But if you could go to the next slide, but you saw how complex this is, right, Chris? So imagine if you have to do this for about 4 5 variables. Say you take age, you take gender, you take even say state, or you take consumption, and you take all these factors and you say, I want to manage the proportion in such a way that it matches my population. It gets cumbersome, right? It gets extremely exhausting. So what we've done is we've taken all these principles of weighting, as well as we've taken all the necessary guardrails that one needs to consider, which most statistician or research analyst would take into consideration, and it is fed in. It's already inbuilt in Question Pro's BI
So
tool.
QuestionPro has built the guardrails
Yes,
into the traditional weighting and balancing that a
absolutely.
statistician, you may have to like, I don't know, like have a sidekick statistician, right? Like, and then they built that in so you could build your scheme that applies to your BI dashboards or your surveys, I'm assuming. I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And here, because this is a screenshot of QuestionPro, I'm assuming, not another survey
Yes.
platform.
Yes. No. And
Okay.
that's what's really interesting. Everything that a statistician or an analyst or a researcher would tell you is already inbuilt in this tool. So every guidance that you need to a degree, of course, is already over here, and this will help you take the necessary decision when it comes to weighting itself. So with this, what I would like to do is I'd like to hand it over to Kartik to give a demo on weighting. And sorry, Crystal, before that, if there's any question, I'm happy to answer those questions as well.
No, we just have a lot of like they've gone off the rails now. Keep asking your questions, people. I think we did focus slightly, maybe a little bit too much on QXBot. This is not a QXBot demo. We love QXBot. It's an AI tool we've built, but you can build these dashboards from scratch. Kartik was just not doing that for the sake of time. And so now we're going to kind of show how you can do some weighting and balancing. You just opened a new tab. What was that?
Yep. So this is what, if you don't use QXBot, this is what you get. And then you can start off one by one, adding all your questions. So just going to quickly show that.
Okay, great. So you can start a new tab. Man, you guys are killing it with the fun features. What I would suggest, if you guys are all in BI right now, I've seen some people, like, I think you guys have your tabs open while you're watching this, which I love. Just, I guess, click everything. See what you can click and something will happen. Okay, show us some weighting and balancing.
Something awesome will happen. Awesome. So now let's kind of simplify everything that Karishma told us. So if you come here, you see you have weightings, and here there are a few schemes that I've already created. But let's do one from scratch to see how easy or hard it is. And here we have three options. Here we have three options. One is rate weighting, which we're going to see today. Cell-based weighting, as well as static weighting. These will come up reasonably soon. So let's go into weighting. And again, let's take the same survey we've been working with. And now for this survey, let's say I want to weight the data for gender, I want to weight it for income, and I want to weight it for, let's say, do you think you can manage without a smartphone for a week, for example? So again, you
Absolutely
can keep
not.
adding. For you, the question would be like a day. I don't think anyone's going to ask a marketing person what week. But yeah. So let's say these are 3 questions, but you can keep adding more, obviously. I'm just going to keep it slightly simple. And the next step is to kind of create a data filter. So if there's a particular, like, okay, you want to weight only the US data, or you want to you want to weight data only for a particular segment, you can add that kind of criteria here. But for now, I'm just going to say everybody who's completed the survey. And now here, I just give it a name. So let's say graphics webinar. And here you'll see I need to now add all the proportions. And now let's say I want this to be about 54%. This should be about, let's say, 48. And this should be, let's say, this kind of, let me make
Math.
this
You got to do math, Kartik.
52.
You got to equal 100.
There you go. Right. Yeah, so let's make this 47. So then we can do 1 here. So let's do something like this. And then for income, let's say I want to start off with, this should be about 28. And again, these are just proportions that I know my data, so I'm just kind of upweighting or downweighting it a little bit. Obviously, you'll do this based on your data set. So let's say this is 26, and this might be, let's say, again 26. And then here, let's say 20, we count to 100. And for this, let's just say 51 and 49. And it's surprising that this is exactly like the data we got was like 53 and 47. So it seems like 53% of people say that they can live without their phone for a week. But I feel that it's their perception. But that was very interesting in the data for me. But anyway, let's go ahead and save this. So now once you kind of created your scheme, it's going to take anywhere from 1 minute to about 30 minutes to process.
Okay.
Now in this case, I just have 400 responses in just about 30 questions. So it's going to happen within a minute.
Look at that
So there we go.
processing.
And now here you'll see like the efficiency. So 97% efficiency, which is like obviously fantastic. Typically you'll not go below 80%. If you're going below 80%, then you're overweighting the data. So you want to kind of then try and adjust the proportions. These are number of iterations it took. I'm not going to go into like too much of complexity here. So just the weighting scheme that we've created. And if now based on this, you want to make some changes, you can come and make them here. But let's just use this. So now if I go into any of my dashboards, I'm just going to come here. And if I go back to settings, now I have weighting scheme. So
and now you can pick your weighting schemes.
There we go. And done. We don't have to do any math. We don't have to do anything. The system does all the hard work for us. And now all the data that we are seeing is weighted to those proportions that we had added.
That's awesome. And then I'm assuming you could add like this is just my, we were talking about like, hey, how do you tell a story on the dashboard if you're not exporting to a PowerPoint? When you're I'm just going to ask you this. I don't actually know this, guys. Like, let's be very clear. I know very little about this. If you add a widget, can you add like a text widget that describes like this dashboard uses this weighting scheme and stuff like that?
Yep. So if you come to add widget, you see this rich text comment box.
Look at that.
So you can just put in anything. So this.
So then you could create almost like a different, I'm thinking about it kind of like our HubSpot dashboards where it's like, hey, there's like text here describing what this dashboard's about. And, you can answer all those Q&As in the dashboard. That's awesome. And then you can move that around to the top or the bottom. You could probably add your logo and branding to it if you're in
Exactly.
marketing. Yeah, I love that. And just as a reminder, everybody, if you have Research Edition, Advanced, or Team, you can literally, Kartik, just go down to the drop down really fast for me. In QuestionPro, in your account, it is right there. It has technically been there for months. So if you click down, it is there. You can use this today. It is a live product. And if you are an excellent researcher, as Kartik is, and not like a medium, not researcher like me, we can both use it. And so, this is it is available right now. If someone wants to add a little bit more, I don't know, like advanced things, like what's the most advanced thing we can do with BI right now, Kartik?
I would say like the ability to kind of consolidate data sets. So if I come into data sets, so this was like the most, I would say, challenging thing from an engineering perspective.
Okay.
So you can come here, you can kind of create a data set. And what this does is, let's say you have like 3, 4, 5 different surveys for different purposes, and you want to then merge or consolidate all that data together to then do consolidated kind of reporting and do stat testing to the data as a whole. So this kind of allows you to do that, where you can just combine 10 or 5, 10 different kind of data sources into one kind of master data set. And then let's say run some stat testing or do some cross tabs on over the data as a whole.
That's awesome.
That's I would say the most complicated thing. And then the coolest thing, I mean, yeah, the different kind of, I would say like the Pathos AI and the bot integration and the weighting, clustering. These are some of like the things that I think make the product very exciting, and kind of we assume kind of saves the researcher a lot of time, and we obviously going to double down on this over the months, where you'll see progress week over week, if not month over month, if not week over week.
For sure. I know we do builds on it pretty often, just from an engineering perspective. Kartik's trying to push it, man. And then, one of the other good questions I think that we kind of glanced over, and I just want to make sure, especially for some of our advanced users, is how do you connect like a CX survey and a research survey? Can you just show us that really quickly? I think that's probably something we haven't talked about enough. Mike, I did see your question about the advanced license, and I've got Mark looking into that in the back. Oh my gosh, here we go.
Yep. So right now, all this data is from a research survey. Now, let's say I wanted to add something from a CX survey.
Right.
So I just go to add widget, select any widget, and here you'll see this drop down for surveys. So here you have different products. So surveys is what we're currently looking at, customer experience and workforce. So here I can go into customer experience, and let's see if I have something with some data here. Let's just say, okay, this has 4 responses, or maybe this should have some more. Yes, I'll just take this with 4, and I can, let's say, just pick this NPS one, and I want to use, let's say, standard NPS gauge. I could also do like trends and benchmarks and stuff like that.
I know there's always like a beef between, people who believe in NPS and people who don't. I'm just saying.
I'm not going to give my opinion on the platform.
Okay, NPS 0. I mean, that's better than nothing.
Yep. And you also have like other scoring models. So I know some companies use custom effort score, some use custom satisfaction score. You can also do like your own custom scoring model. So all of those will be baked in within these kind of settings.
Love that. Okay, and then can we show cross tabs and allow client viewers to play with various slices?
Yeah. So you can basically come here, add your cross tab. Let's like probably add something real quick. Then let's just take this.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll back up to the top and see if I can find some of these top questions. Oh, our dashboard. If you guys have questions, just while we're doing this crosstab chart, we will be sending out the recording. You can also find the recording. It's actually, we're live streaming to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook currently. So it already is going to be living on YouTube, but we will be sending an email out with the recap. And then we will be in that email. You got to give us a couple days because we're going to try and go through a lot of these questions for you and send that out in the email to everybody who's in here right now. And who registered and missed it. So your questions will get answered. And you gotta give us a couple days though to make sure we can get through all of them. Okay, cross tabs, slicing.
Awesome. Yep. So this is as simple as it to kind of add a cross tab. And then if you want to share it with someone and allow them to kind of filter it or slice it for different views, then all you need to do is go into filters. You need to create your filters. So let me just create one for now. So let's just say we're going to select, which are we going to take? This one, and let's say income. And this is one of my options. So I can go ahead and save this and call this income group. Save. So you can save a number of filters, and then when you're sharing this with someone, when you just enable filters, and you can either do interactive lets them just run any filters they want, or you can do saved filters, which will then give them a drop down of all the filters you've created, so they can select one of them to kind of see different filters in the cross tab.
That's very cool. So you can actually give the users the ability to see the stagnant view, or if you have interactive filters, which filters you want them to see.
Exactly. So let me just quickly open it as a viewer. So right now, just open up Firefox. I'm not.
And you don't need to have a QuestionPro license to be a viewer.
Nope, not at all.
Love that for us. Love that for your clients, QuestionPro users. I definitely already can think about some customers that I know that could use this for their client interactions. Okay, so this is if you are a non-QuestionPro user and you're sharing the dashboard to a viewer, this is the view they will get.
Correct. Okay. And now I can then change this view from here. There we go. So all the numbers are now changed.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, we've got about just a little bit time left. Karishma, what is when you're coming into, you're a statistician, you've done all the things. Evidently, it used to take you 14 hours to build dashboards. What are some of your highlights when it comes to QuestionPro BI?
I think the ability to slice and dice the data, because at the end of the day, as a researcher, as a statistician, we're trying to identify unique patterns within the data. The ability to tell a story through a dashboard and in matter of minutes is actually quite empowering for decision makers as well as for the researchers as well, because then we can look at more data and we are able to facilitate better decision making as well. So honestly, storytelling, visual cues that are available, ability to go deep dive into the data, compare the data, as well as combine surveys so that we are able to layer the data to give better interpretations to stakeholders. I think that's a game changer.
I love that. That is exciting from a statistician herself. Okay, we've got a couple more minutes. I have one. Is there a way you can tailor the dashboards and visuals to your branding guidelines? I know we can do that in surveys, but what about, aha! Honestly, I just need you to go through every click, Kartik. Great, look at that. Look at all this branding. We love this. These are not QuestionPro colors, so I just we need to get this branded to QuestionPro colors, Kartik. Okay, so you can apply branding. You can do weighting. We can
logos, footers, all of that stuff can easily be done here.
We love that. And then Okay, AI settings. Do we want to dive into that a little bit? I know there's a lot of questions about QXBot floating out there. When you're trying to make sure your QXBot can be trusted, our AI can be trusted, what are some of the guardrails we put in there?
So this is right now just to regenerate it. It's not much of the settings itself. And then we have a different dashboard where you can kind of go through like you can kind of retrain the bot, but that's slightly intensive. That will take at least 10 minutes to go through.
Okay.
So yes, I think the next topic for me would be to like just go through like the AI stuff on this.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Okay.
have a
I mean,
completely
that's a
different
great
dashboard for that.
follow-up. That would be a great follow-up webinar is like how to use empowering using AI. I know at Question Pro, we've done like many webinars about our AI integrations. And our concept here is that AI is a tool, it is a co-pilot, it is your assistant, and it is really here to empower you as a researcher to, move faster and make decisions quicker, but not with less data. We're not trying to use AI as like it's like like a support system. Like you still have to use your brain, guys. Like it's not going to take away your brain. Okay. We got like 2 minutes, Kartik. Give me your next, what do you wish people knew about QuestionPro BI that they're not using right now?
Yeah, so I think like just in general, very few customers right now even know about BI because it's been in public beta for the longest time. So we've not kind of officially released it. So this is the first time we are obviously doing this webinar, and we're obviously going to start marketing this.
Yeah.
So firstly, yes, kind of just use the product, play around. It's super powerful. And the one thing that is very, very kind of underspoken about is everything that you see, however big the data set is going to kind of load within 2 seconds, frankly. And
Woo!
that's due to a lot of engineering done behind the scenes and the databases we've used. So it's like super fast. So once you start using it, trust me, it gets addictive. So yeah, I think that is one thing
Once
that's
you
almost
start
not
using
spoken
it, you're
about.
addicted to the outcome data.
At the speed at which you actually get everything, especially for larger studies, is like certainly something that I've personally not used products for, which can just give you everything in a flash.
I love that. So we're going to wrap up here in just a few seconds, but please make sure you drop your questions into the comment section. We will be answering these questions in an email form, but you have to give us a couple of days. And so please, yes, that's what I'm going to next, Kartik. So please make sure you drop your questions into the comment section. We are pulling them out and we will be answering them, but you have to give us time. It takes time to answer questions. So we'll be sending an email out in a couple of days. If not, you can watch this live already on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. It is already published out there. There are people out there watching us right now that are not in this little comment room. So, I guess there's like the haves and the have not. No, I'm kidding. If you are on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook, drop a comment in there and we will pull those two and send them out to you. We will be posting this, a lot of places. And then, of course, this is my baby project happening right now. Register for Question Pro X Day. It's on October 3rd. It's in Austin, Texas, where I live. And Kartik is going to be there. Kartik flies over from India every year, along with Adrian Mendez and our CSM team. I mean, if you want to meet your account manager, if you want to meet our CEO, Vivek, he's going to be there. If you want to meet me, I'm going to be there. And if you want to ride a mechanical bull, you definitely should come to X Day this year. You can sign up using this registration code and give Mark, who was the orchestrator of this event, some good prompts. We really appreciate you guys coming. Again, this was just an intro to Question Pro BI. So we hope that you can really jump in and use it and get started with it. It's in a public beta right now. So bear with us, guys. Like beta means beta testing. So make sure you give Kartik your feedback. I'm sure he would love it. You can give it to him in person at Question Pro X Day. And we are so thankful for Kartik and Karishma to spend this last hour with us. We hope we earned the value of your time. An hour is really a lot to sacrifice these days. You know, we know time is valuable. So Kartik and Karishma, thank you so much for hosting with us. Any last words?
I just want to thank the audience. It's been a very interactive audience.
Yeah.
Tons of questions, which are always fun to kind of go through. Also, just obviously gives you the confidence that yes, people are actually listening. So yes, I certainly appreciate that everyone actually listened, and hope everyone kind of enjoyed it. And we'll be doing many more of these as time goes.
It'll probably be a lot of me and Kartik and Karishma where they're teaching me things.
We promise by the end of this series, like Crystal is going to start talking all numbers in her marketing. Be like, okay, how do I rate this HubSpot email campaign? Is it truly representative of our customer base? That's the kind of question you start asking.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful afternoon.